Welcome to session 4, lesson 4 of the emotional intelligence training at the Entrepreneurs Academy. Today, I'm diving into mastering emotions and feelings. You see, the higher you go when it comes to wealth, influence, and power, you're going to experience increased pressure, emotional pressure. Okay? Is that more demands will be put on you because you're going to take on more responsibilities. So the higher you go, you take on more responsibility for people, time management, on and on. And all of those demands will put increased pressure on those who want to build wealth, those who want to attain higher levels of prosperity. So this class is going to teach you how to understand what's going on within you, how you interface with the world around you, right? It's going to increase your intelligence, your knowledge of emotions and feelings, yours and for others and the people you're going to lead and engage with. Why is this so important? Is because the more intentional you are, you have to really be more in control. Okay? This is about empowering yourself to be in control of the choices you're making so that other people are not making choices for you. So you can see on the screen, I'm going to go through this in detail. This is a life-changing, life-impacting training program. What I'm going to share with you today, what I'm going to teach you, will change your life forever. It's going to change your personal relationships, your business relationships, your relationship with yourself, okay, and your relationship with the world at large. I wish this was something that they taught every child, right? From, maybe 5, because this is about life. We are thinking and emotional beings, and success and wealth building, really, there's no way you're going to escape emotional regulation. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, we all experience life. Okay, so your experiences, right? In the physical realm, we experience life through the 5 senses. People talk about the sixth sense. Yes, there's the sixth sense, your intuition. The 5 senses, right? We experience life. You are exposed to words, thoughts, actions of other people, right? The thoughts of people expressed in written form or verbal form, you are exposed to it. It comes into your system. You experience those realities. So it's like, as example, it's cold outside. You did not create the cold. But if you step out into the cold, if you step out into the snow, you will experience the cold. You will experience that reality. So in this dimension, right, as you exist in your physical form, your 5 physical senses, they pick up information. Sense of taste, right? What you see, what you listen to, what you hear, right? What you touch, what you smell. You experience this reality and it goes into our system. Okay, right? You process it, you take it in, and your body, your system experiences it. What you experience, okay, you would experience it, your body's experiencing it. If you step into the cold, you will experience cold. Okay, now what you do about your experiences, this is where your power lies. Your ability to choose and to respond. How you train yourself to respond to your experiences in ways that is beneficial to your goals. Because many people don't respond in a way that is beneficial. Okay. Realize that you're living in a reality that responds to your words, to your thoughts, to your emotions, to your behaviors. Life will mirror it back to you. Okay? Life tends to mirror back to you your thoughts, your words, your actions, your beliefs, your emotions, your behavior, right? So, part of this work is to gain back control. Okay? This is where you take your power back. When you don't take your power back, you will be controlled by your experiences. Why is that? Because we tend to respond the default. If you haven't done this work, if you don't have control, if you've not empowered yourself with this knowledge, the default is that what life throws at you, you attempt to throw it back. If somebody smiles at us, we smile back. If somebody throws you a punch, you're likely to respond back. We tend to mirror. That's the natural inclination. It's like a child. This is the immature side of it. Right? So from childhood, that's where immaturity is. The default is that an immature person in this realm, emotional intelligence, that is lacking emotional intelligence, you will respond to life the way life is responding to you. If somebody smiles, you smile. If somebody's not smiling at you, you give it back to them. If somebody's nice, you're nice to them. If they're not nice, you're not nice to them. That's the default. That's the immature side. That's why when it comes to growth for prosperity, I always say there are 4 areas of growth: spiritual growth, intellectual growth, physical well-being, and emotional well-being. We're tackling the emotional side, right? So the immature person will not control their responses, meaning you don't have the power. You've not strengthened your power to choose how you respond to life, because your own response is what life will give you back. So people get to go into the spiraling of, if life is cold, you are cold. And because you are cold, you return, right? It's like you have to break this cycle. What people give to you, if you give it back, they will give it back to you, and then you give it back. And this ping pong leaves people, right, caged in limitation. How you start maturing is when you start choosing, when you gain the power, when you empower yourself to understand that you can choose who you want to be and how you respond to life, because that will bring you, right, another level of reaction. Life will give you who you are. And when you're not choosing who you are, it means life is choosing it for you. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, experiences come in, they apply pressure on your system. That pressure has energy, data. You experience it in emotion, in form of emotion. If you step into the cold, you will feel the cold. Okay, now when you are experiencing reality, your current reality, how people speak to you, how people respond to you, what people do, right? What you're seeing, what you're, right, with your senses, what you're experiencing, when you read the news, when you observe, right? When you hear, when you smell, right? It comes into you and it applies pressure on your system. That's why I said, as you're becoming more successful, the more success you want to achieve, let's say you are the boss of a company, you are an elected official, what you're managing, the responsibility you're managing, they grow. Let's say you're a mom of 1, of 2, of 3, or 4. The more you start taking on, right? The more you start taking more, the more successful you are, the more you start getting everything you want. More money, more success, right? Growth of your business, right? The more influential you become, you will be subjected to increased pressure. More demand will be put on your system. This is why I always say grow your capacity. This is about emotional capacity to take on more responsibilities. And when people don't do this work, right? This is lesson 4. When you write all of the classes, this is equipping you. I'm giving you the tools for success. Okay? Success in business and success in life. Is that if you don't grow your capacity, your emotional capacity, when people are subjected to pressure, they tend to go negative. Okay? They complain, they whine, because you've lost your power. If you don't have internal power, if you haven't empowered yourself to handle the pressure that the responsibility is putting on you, people crumble because you don't have self-control, You don't know how to regulate your emotions. And this is a skill, by the way. It is a skill. It's not overnight. I give you the tools. Now you can be aware. Now you can use the tools. So when that pressure, what you're experiencing, whether it's the news, negative news will pressure you negatively. Negative experiences, your system is under pressure. And that pressure activates energy flow in your body, in your system. So your experiences, if you go into the cold right now, right? You will experience that cold. If you're in a negative workplace, you will experience that toxicity. If you're in a wrong relationship, if people talk to you in a certain way, if they give you a punch, your body will experience it. Positivity is the same way. You're in a loving relationship, it will draw emotions in you, pleasant emotions. If people encourage you, pleasant emotions. If people educate you, pleasant emotions. So there are certain experiences that will give you positive, right, emotion. There are certain experiences that gives you negative emotions. Now, when the emotions run through its circle, it is priming and checking in on your own system. So this is where your own beliefs and interpretation of that emotion kicks in. 5 people can have the same experiences, but how they process it, the stories they tell, okay, how they process it would then influence what you store, your feelings. So I'm going to move now from emotions. We'll still come back to it. The difference between emotions and feelings. Emotions, that's what you're experiencing. Your body will experience it. Energy will flow through you. If somebody is angry, if you're exposed to emotion of anger, or somebody throws you a punch, the first thing is that you would experience that reality, favorable or unfavorable. Now, in a split second, right, your conscious and subconscious self will be engaged, because the experience, when the experience comes, right, and you are experiencing certain things, positive or negative, okay, now who you are will be engaged. The question is, what are you now going to do? So this experience, this emotion will make an inquiry of us, right, into your conscious or subconscious mind and say, okay, you're experiencing the cold, you're experiencing this reality. What's your interpretation of the reality? It splits. It's like, it happens like that. If it's cold outside, your subconscious already knows what you need to do. So you're likely to go grab a coat, keep yourself warm. But the first time you experience something that is not familiar, your conscious mind will be engaged. You will be forced to think. When you're not thinking, you default. This is where we talk about triggers. Fight, flight, right? Fight. Do you fight it? Do you flee from it? Or do you freeze? Those are default responses of things that have happened in the past, and you've already formed an opinion on what you need to do. So whenever you experience similar things, your subconscious will just activate within you. Flee, run away, right? Let me give you, just bring to your mind. Remember, children, they may not have developed a robust database. So the very first time they touch things, right? Let's say it's the fire. You might say, don't touch it. But guess what happens? They go ahead and touch it. Okay? When they touch it, guess what happens? The emotion is triggered. They study information. Now they know, right? Before they didn't know because it's an experience that is new. So what happens is that our system, over time, I always say your past, you carry your past everywhere you go. Past experiences and your conclusions, right, are now stored. So the next time a child sees the fire, the child knows to flee, not to touch it. But the very first time, since the child hasn't experienced it before, even when you're saying don't, the child has to experience it. But once the child has experienced it, the system, right, forms an opinion, gains clarity, and then registers this information and say, when you see things like this, don't touch, move away from it. This is danger. So imagine over years, okay, you formed opinions. You've arrived at conclusions about certain realities, about certain experiences. This is what shapes who you have become. Is that all the things you've experienced out of life, good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, you formed a story around it and you believe certain things about those experiences, and that forms your subconscious. So when similar things happen and you experience similar emotion, it triggers you into, right, acting, right, based on the belief system that is already in you. Without thinking, you act it out. So the pressure, the higher you go, you're going to be pressured by people, by more responsibilities, by more tasks, right? So for entrepreneurs, more tasks, more responsibilities, more customers, more clients, more business partners, more, right? More. When we go higher, more influence, more wealth, it means more pressure. This skill is required. Emotional regulation, understanding emotions, right? Feelings, what's going on within you first. And I'm going to share also how you interface, the human to human interface, how you also interface with other people. When people don't do this work, these tools that I'm giving, when people don't do this work, guess what happens? They're not equipped to deal with people, right? And people hold the secret to your wealth. Your relationships, how you deal with people, your conclusions, how you respond to people, how you manage people, your people management skill is the ultimate secret to how wealthy, how successful you will ever be. Whether in private, right? Whether it's in a personal relationship, right? Your relationship with spouse, your children, success starts there. It's not just even external. Success starts with your relationship with yourself, the thoughts within you, your emotions, how you feel about life, right? Whether you're motivated, the choices you're making, because behavior follows this thing I'm sharing. The things that you do, how you behave is influenced by your thoughts, beliefs, emotions. How you manage your emotions takes you to higher levels, right? So all of the emotional internal fights is why people don't feel prepared towards success. Whether you're feeling motivated, inspired, whether you're able to challenge yourself to take action, this is the foundation of it. What's going on within us influences how we show up to life. And how you show up to life affects your levels of success. Okay? I see Akinwande joining. Greetings. So you can see the screen. So your experiences puts pressure on you. The higher you go, you are going to experience more people, right? You're going to have more responsibility. The pressure increases. And now you need more tools, internal resiliency, right? Emotional resiliency, so that when people come at you, you don't respond immediately. So I'm giving you these tools to say, When experiences come, it's cold outside, you experience the cold, you have a choice. The story you tell. If you already have experienced it before, your system it makes an inquiry of your database, your system. Do you fight it? Do you flee? Do you freeze? But the higher dimension, this is where maturity, if you don't mature beyond your default, that means you're not growing. Growth starts with thinking and reflecting. And in lesson 1, I gave you the PowerPoint, how to do that process, how to interrupt your own process, right? So lesson 1 covers the step-by-step, how to motivate yourself, emotional regulation, right? All of that, lesson 1. I'm not repeating lesson 1. I'm going deeper to say thinking and reflecting so that you're not jumping to conclusion. Immaturity means people jump to conclusion. You are not interrogating current reality and using your superior intelligence to choose what is in favor of who you are to support who you're trying to become. This is why when people don't grow emotionally, they will default to doing the same thing they used to do when they were 5. Okay, many people will act like a 5-year-old because the 5-year-old does not have the skill. The 5-year-old will cry. The 5-year-old would whine because the 5-year-old doesn't feel powerful to respond, right, as their own, to take on agency, to be the right representative of themselves. A 5-year-old doesn't feel equipped, right, to face life with strength, with the right level of communication, to say no, to say this is not right, to challenge reality in a positive way. A 5-year-old is not equipped with the right communication skills, the right thinking skills, the right emotional choice, right? A 5-year-old is not. So the 5-year-old is likely to cry, complain, report to the mommy, and let the adults be their agents. Part of maturity is empowering yourself not to whine. Listen, when an adult whines, or when an adult cries, it doesn't look this way it is, but it sounds like complaining. Sense of entitlement. Oh, it's because they did this, they that. Why did you, right? It sounds differently, but it's the exact same thing. When you've not empowered yourself to choose to communicate in a way that is you, right? That will get you the results you want. Anytime you respond in a way you're not proud of, it's because we have to continue to fine-tune this skill. It is a skill that we have to continue to develop the muscle. So thinking and reflecting is a key instrument to growth, right? Emotional growth. Because when we don't think, when we don't reflect, when we don't choose, we default to the things someone that is not empowered will do. If somebody gets angry with you, you punch him back, right? Will Smith, this is why this is so important, is that when you are pressured, when you're under pressure by external circumstances, the natural thing is to default, to fight it, run away, or freeze. But there's another superior aspect where you take a moment to reflect and think and say, okay, what am I experiencing right now? And then to choose, right? Consciously, when it's the first time. Subconsciously, if you've already chosen before, you will default, right? This is why we talk about trigger. When somebody triggers you, it bypasses, right, your conscious mind. It goes into your subconscious, and a side of you that is less than who you are might respond on your behalf, becomes your agent. And you go into feelings when you've made a decision. So you're going to feel your own decisions. That's the difference. Emotion is what you're experiencing. Feelings is tied to your own choices. And the moment you've made a choice, you move into response mode. You're going to respond with action, with words, right? Is that the things that we do, they are backed with feelings. Okay? The things that you do or don't do, beneath it all, are thoughts and energy driven by your belief system. And these things happen so fast. Your job is to slow. If you want to mature, your job is to slow it down. Don't be too erratic. Don't jump to conclusions anymore. Just take a moment to think again. That's the way you start interrupting this default. To think again. When you don't think or reflect, and journaling is, there are many tools here. If you don't think and reflect, you default. And you're likely to default to the less mature, less equipped version of you. Your response then, you may not be proud of your response. You react too soon, somebody punches you, you punch back. Before you are able to think. Or maybe you've been thinking about punching that person back. Right? And in today's world, we are experiencing more. We're in the fast lane right now. You're scrolling on social media. You're seeing things, the news cycle. Every single day now, humans are being exposed to more stimulus than before. And unknown to most people, you are being trained to be restless. You are being trained not to think much. You are being trained to be anxious. You are being trained to be angry without you even participating in your own training. Just by scrolling, you're training your mind to be skipping, scrolling. And that is making you trigger dopamine, right? You're triggering yourself and you are retraining. You don't know this, but you are being trained to be anxious, to be jumping to conclusion. You see something 30 seconds, you're telling your mind, you're moving on. You've seen it all. So you're not slowing down enough to actually learn, right? Because so when you sleep at night, you've not given yourself enough rich data. And so when you sleep at night, your mind is trying to process everything you experience throughout the day, and so that it can store it and give it meaning and help enrich your life, so that when you wake up tomorrow, right, you can move through life in a successful way. But guess what? Most of the skipping, scrolling that people are conditioning themselves to do today, emotionally is triggering emotion in you, chemical reaction in your system every 30 seconds. Very, very unhealthy. But guess what? At night, the mind cannot digest it. It's like food, right? The mind is a digestive system. It digests thoughts and experiences, bring meanings to it, and it helps shapes your stories and your belief system and your identity, who you're identifying with. Okay? And so 30 seconds, every 30 seconds, you are eating, you're consuming content, right? At night, when you sleep, your mind kicks in, the brain kicks in. It's a natural function. It's trying to make sense and come up with stories about everything you experience. You dream at night, on and on and on. If everything you've exposed yourself to is not in favor of your goals, it might be toxic stuff. This is what leads to a lot of anxiety, limitation, limited beliefs, lack of confidence, confusion, procrastination. All of those things is that at night, the mind goes, how do we make sense of all of these things? So ask yourself right now, the last 24 hours, all the emotions you experience, what triggered it? And can you even remember them? But guess what? Your body knows. Consciously, you may not remember, but your body experienced everything you're exposing your mind to. Everything you expose yourself to, your body experienced it. And emotions were triggered in you, but your conscious mind may not be catching up. So you are moving at a pace. When you are scrolling, you're moving at a pace so fast, you're not even thinking anymore. You're seeing things, you're reading the news, At night is when the subconscious is now trying to make sense of it. And guess what? Emotions are stored, but now you don't know what to conclude. Right? What are your conclusions? And so many people are anxious because emotions have not been processed. Many people now are living in anxiety mode because you've triggered so many things, so many thoughts you've been bombarded. You've experienced so many thoughts. You've exposed yourself to so many words, so much, but you've not slowed down enough to process it and ask yourself, which one is useful? Which one is helpful? Which one is not? So that you can discard, right? Just like food, not everything you eat is useful. There's a digestive system that helps you extract energy, extract usefulness from everything you're eating. And there's a process to let the useless stuff goes out. The mind is the same. When you don't do this work, many people are holding on to unprocessed emotion. And so you're not letting go of the useless stuff. It's like hoarding. You keep hoarding. You're hoarding more content, more content, more content. You are consuming. You are hoarding. Before you know it, the house is filled to the brim. It doesn't look nice anymore. There's junk everywhere. Now you're not living in an environment that is pleasant. So that's what's happening right now, is that many people's minds, you need to detoxify. It's like, I always say, it's like brushing our teeth. Don't ask why are germs start sticking to your teeth. Just brush it, right? Your job is to, so that it doesn't stink, so that you don't burden your system with toxicity, thoughts, words, opinions that have no place in your system. They are not helping you be polarized positively. So when people polarize themselves negatively, the moment you speak, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speak, you start hearing whining. Oh, it's the government. Oh, it's they. Where are those thoughts coming from? You don't even know. You've exposed yourself to thoughts, words, they are in your system. And now you open your mouth. Now you start expressing it. And guess what happens? The more you express those things, you speak words into, right, the space, life will now mirror exactly, because you chose to believe those things. Because belief system, it doesn't really matter what those words are. The moment you accept those words, they are yours and they are part of you. And once they stick to you, life will mirror it back to you. So if you believe the government is this and that, life will prove you right. Reality is designed to always prove you right. Reality doesn't argue with you. You think Biden is the problem? He is the problem. It becomes the problem in your life, right? This is why you have to interrupt everything you're consuming and ask yourself, do you really believe these things? Why do you believe it? Does believing them, does it favor you? Is it in your favor? Because there are other thoughts tied to prosperity you must now replace. I always talk about poverty mindset. A belief system that will tell you, you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have that. You may be experiencing certain conditions, but you can interrupt it and choose not to believe, choose not to accept certain emotions that certain reality and experiences is trying to trigger you with. Choosing not to believe it means you have to ascend. Choosing to ascend to higher thoughts. This is where faith lives in. Fear lives in a dimension. Faith lives in another dimension. You will experience what you choose to believe. Emotions can be controlled by belief system. You can choose right now to be happy, no matter what you are experiencing. That's the power. This is where you empower yourself. An immature person, a 5-year-old, may not know, may not use their power of choice. Emotional maturity is part of choosing, because when you are pressured, So, for example, you're the CEO of a company. Your company is not growing. You're under pressure, your investors by the market. Are you going to buckle emotionally? Because when people buckle, it means you don't have the power to choose to fight back. It means you're not equipped for that crisis, for that moment. This is why you have to mature. Every time you encounter certain emotions, it's an opportunity for you to grow. Right? You have to grow past it to overcome it. And so when people don't grow past those things, they get stuck. Okay? So that's the explanation for this screen. You experience reality just like you experience the cold. Emotions, they're part of your experiences. But doing this work, if you don't have these tools, the moment emotion comes, because it puts pressure on you, energy, definition of emotion is energy in motion. The energy will move through your system and it's painful. You actually feel it, right? You will feel, that's why you say feeling pressured. You will feel pressure. Pressure is your body experiences it. Those who have this power will take a moment, let that energy run through, and internally, you can start processing what's going on. Or somebody is coming to you, maybe accusing you. Instead of being defensive, you can choose to listen to that person, because listening, when you listen to life better, you are growing, you are maturing. Most people don't listen. Most people react, they don't listen. Listening is a skill. Listening means you take it in. It means even if your spouse is accusing you, oh, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing this? The likelihood is you want to push back. I'm saying there's a skill where you listen. Listening subjects you to more pressure longer. Okay? Because we are trying to decompress. When emotion is in you, everybody wants to quickly get rid of that emotion because it's energy. You can feel it. You can sense it. It's in you. You are experiencing something that is unpleasant. If it's pleasant, you will enjoy it. If it's not pleasant, you resist it, fight, flight. Everybody has their way of responding to pressure. Some people will fight it. Some people would retreat. Some people would get frozen, right? Their system gets frozen. Thinking and reflecting, part of it is listening, internally listening and externally listening to what's going on around you. Listening allows you to take in more information, to understand it better, and so that you can choose. And so when people bypass listening, guess what? You default to jumping to conclusion. And once you jump to conclusion, you will feel a certain way. That decision rises up another type of energy. That energy is the energy that is about to act. You're going to take action based on your feelings. So there are two things. There's the input, the energy coming into you by your experiences creates emotion. The energy that comes out of you into the world, your response, those are based on your choices, conscious and subconscious choices. Input, you have no control. Somebody coming at you, punching you, pressuring you. It's cold outside. Listen, if it's cold outside, you can't change the cold. You put on your coat. Right? But imagine if somebody is the one bringing you it. Somebody is pressuring you. Right? That's the input into your system. You experience input, other people's words, thoughts, and action towards you, or what you read on the news. It comes in, triggers emotion, there are chemicals, there are energy. You will feel it, it's painful. The more pressure, the more pain. Now, if it's pleasure, you would enjoy it. This is why many people go into vices to escape. When people don't process the painful side, they try to escape. They go into drinking and all of those things. right? To avoid the pain of what life experiences that they're going through. Okay, escape instead of processing, right? So this is real life. The more pressure those people face, the more they will drink, the more they will do vices, because it's you have to escape it. It's either you process it or you escape it. That's when you're not facing reality. This is a skill, it's a muscle. People don't teach us. I'm teaching it now, because the higher you go, the more success you want to achieve, you will have to navigate this. Coming out of you, how you decide to now to feel and what you want to do is based on your choices, conscious and subconscious. This is where control now comes in, self-control. Choosing to choose what you're going to say, do, act. This is where your power is. All of your power lives in that dimension. All of your power. And when you don't practice the use of your power, you're going to default. You're going to do unto them what they did to you. Okay? So now let me move into the human to human interface. So first, I've shared what's going on within you when you experience things. Okay, you experience things, you feel, you experience it, the pressure is on you, it interrogates your subconscious conscious mind. You have to choose, you have to decide. Many people jump to conclusions, so they fight or do all that. But when you think and reflect and you listen properly and you process those emotions and you say, okay, what's going on? What's the best way for me to respond now? What do I say? Right? And you choose it, right, intellectually, with intelligence, in a way that you're proud of. This is where your power is. Now you may feel good or bad about your own choices. This is why knowledge is power, because the more options you have, you are likely to pick the best, right, for yourself. That's why we say when we know better, we choose better. So part of growth is knowing the more options about what you can say, what you can do, how you can act, that will continue to propel you in the best way, right? You are your own agency. You are acting in a way that is aligned to your belief system, right? You're projecting into the world the person that you are. If you are the person that punches people, people will know you for that. If you are the person that you are nice and gentle, the world will know. These are your choices based on identity. Now, let's put this side by side. You and somebody else, maybe your spouse, your kids, your co-workers, because we interface. On your journey to success, you're going to be interacting with people. So the first was to teach you manage what's going on in you. Now let's put two people side by side on the screen, the same system. When you realize this what's going on within you, realize that this is what's going on in the next person as well. They are under pressure. They might, if they don't have the power, they might spill it out on you and just dump on you all their frustrations. So their own response to life, they don't filter any of it. They don't have the control to filter it. So they come to you, you are the boss. They just come into your office, boom, boss, this is not going. This is, they just dump their problem on you. You will feel it. You will feel what they are feeling. That's where emotion comes in first. If somebody comes cold, hot, tempered, this is the human to human interface. We are built to experience one another's emotions. That's how we are built. If you enter a room where people are arguing, even if you've not said any word, your body, your body will, their energy, the energy that is being transferred, your body will experience it. Without even when you are not the one, because this is also what activates empathy, sympathy, empathy. We are wired to experience one another. So if you're in a relationship with somebody, your kids, your spouse, right, husband, wife, right, business partners, we are all wired to experience what other people are experiencing. You are going to experience what your people, right? So if your kids come home and they had a negative experience, when they start telling you, if you're the mom or the dad, you would literally experience the same thing. We were wired that way, to empathize. When people numb themselves, they are cold. You don't experience what, but I'm saying in a normal situation, when you've not been traumatized, because part of trauma, depending on what level, is that people check out. People check out of this real reality. This is why we talk about the mind-body connection. Many people are checked out, so they can't feel, they can't experience emotion anymore. They chose something drastic happened enough that they disassociated from what I'm sharing. So they can't empathize anymore. So they are living in the head, and that's a safe space. The body is trapped. That's why I always say seek help. This thing has spectrum, right? There's a spectrum. It's 0 to 100. Many people have not dealt with this thing, but just be aware. I'm creating awareness and giving you tools today. But seek help, professional help, if this is something really, really, if you know that you don't feel things anymore. It's a very extreme case of disassociation. Like, you've told yourself life is not safe, right? You've told yourself life is not safe. So maybe you found yourself in places that were unsafe and you just disconnected. So your mind doesn't send a lot of the you know, emotion down to your body again, because the body does all this work. The mind processes a lot of these things, sends signals through the nervous system. You know that, right? It goes, so your body does a lot of the work. That's why people might clench their fist. There's some people, their stomach might tighten. Some people might, some people might grab their heart. Some people, it might be their legs or their thighs. Is that emotion is felt in different parts of the body. And so when people check out, they just go numb. Good, bad, ugly. You can't feel love. You can't feel pain, right? But the body is wired to experience what you're experiencing, right? You're here to experience life. And many people don't want to experience it, pretty much because they've experienced many unpleasant things. Seek help. I just want to say seek help, process it, because we are here to actually empathize with one another. And when that is cut off, it's like people are not here. they are here, but they are not here. So now, putting two people together, someone comes at you, right? Their own response to life becomes your own experiences. So it triggers you. And then if you don't have the power to choose, you're likely to trigger them back. You give them what they give you. The power to choose. This is where you become a peacemaker. Okay? Peacemaker. If you're a boss, you know you have to have this skill. This is where you calm. You become a shock absorber. You know, a car has a shock absorber. If a car is driving on rough road, if it doesn't have a shock absorber, the car would, right, will wear faster, will wear out. When humans don't have that shock absorber, everything you take in goes inside you. You don't filter it out. You don't find a way of removing negativity from your system, seeing life through a positive realm. Soon enough, you find out that people have polarized themselves negatively. All that they see in life is negative because they've taken all the negativity into their system. And so now they are attracting negativity and they don't know it. This work allows you to see, experience what's going on, and choose. Your power to choose. This is why, for those of us Christians, Bible will say, be kind, be loving. It will say, forgive. If you did not have the power to choose possibility, God will not challenge us to choose these things. And he knows you are going to need it. Because all the amazing things he has for you, you have to condition yourself to be in a positive space. Prosperity requires generosity. You have to believe in people again. You have to be kind. You have to be forgiving. When you don't do this work, you are carrying a past that is toxic. People who did By 20 years old, if you don't do this work of filtering, this is a process of filtering yourself, right? It's like, imagine if you don't brush your teeth for 10 days or a week. And you are saying, you are accusing the germs. Our job is, you don't listen, there are germs everywhere. There are negative people everywhere. Your job is to clean and make sure it doesn't stick and you are not holding on to these things. Because if you want to attract positive wealth, good things, good people, this work is important. So on this screen, the person's feelings and their response to life, when you experience how they are, who they are, whether they're an angry person, if you're around angry people, you will experience them. You will. If you hang around toxic people, you will experience. That's why you have a choice. Do you keep exposing yourself to micro trauma? Because it's coming into your system constantly. Your body is having to process these emotions. Their emotions are your emotions as long as you are in relations with them. They're getting at you. Your power to choose not to be them. You see, not to mirror it back. You have co-workers that gossip. Default, you will do what they're doing. Maturity means you will not. You choose to be kind. You choose to be generous. It's a choice because, trust me, many people, everybody has a reason not to be kind, generous, believing in people anymore. But those who would attain prosperity, listen to me. This is the secret of success. You must believe there are kind, good people, generous people in this world. If your experiences are making you to lose hope, to say all people are bad, all people are this, you have to do this work. Don't believe that conclusion. Don't arrive at that conclusion. Right? Doing this work brings hope alive every day. It's a renewal. You must renew your system. It's like food. Just because the food you were served last week or yesterday was not sweet doesn't mean you conclude that all food are bad. You see, that's the immature way of processing life. You just say, you know what? Now you know who not, now you are educated enough who not to do life with. When you experience narcissism, now you know to avoid. Right? You don't conclude that everybody is like your last failed relationship, business, right? Personal relationship. You don't conclude. But if you conclude, it means that you've programmed yourself to delete people from your life. You have now programmed yourself to believe that everybody coming at you is coming in with negativity. But guess what? When God is now sending somebody with money, with success, with promotion, if you come at them with that negativity, guess what? Their own system is now triggered to fight you. But you did that. You didn't know. When you polarize yourself negatively and you're dishing out, you're now emitting negativity because that's your belief system, right? When people now experience you in that dimension, they will conclude that you are a negative person. But it all started because somebody did something to you. You didn't process it. You didn't let it go. You carried their energy. Now their energy is robbing you of blessings and promotion because now other people are experiencing you in that polarity. So the choice is asking yourself, how are people experiencing you? This is it. How are you responding to life? How are you responding to people? How are people concluding? Right? Because if everybody around you concludes that you're angry, you're unforgiving, you're this, what it also means is that they're likely not to give you the best of them. They avoid you. Right? But if you want to attract, if you want to be more prosperous, you want to be promoted, you want wealth, you want customers, clients, it means you must be attracting good people. But it first starts in your own database. What's happening within you? That's why God will always say forgive, because we have to let go of everything that is not in favor of what God has for us. So realize that when we put two people together, the human to human interface, when you interface with other people, you are experiencing people, and realize people are experiencing you also, right? People are experiencing you also. So the question is, you cannot control them, but you can control you, how you process them, and you can also control how you respond back to people. That's the power, because your own response back can be constructive or destructive, right? So that's in human to human interface, how we relate with one another. And then finally, let me give you a few things to my conclusions, and then what I want you to walk away with. Okay. The first thing is, always manage your pressure, pleasure, reward relationship. You see, the mind is always looking for things that will reward itself, dopamine. So we tend to move towards emotion that make us feel good. Okay? That pleasure us. Growth, however, if you want to lose weight, you want to build a business, if you want to do great things, big things, build things, constructive creativity, there's pressure involved in success. The higher you go, you will be pressured by the responsibility. So you have to grow your capacity. You see, when people show up to the gym, they will put themselves under pressure so that their muscles can grow. When people avoid emotions that that makes you uncomfortable, you're also avoiding growth opportunities. Things that make you think, reflect, exert energy, push a little bit. This is where growth is. So when people avoid pain, listen, your to-do list, like if you show up into today will put you under pressure to work. Work is pressure. When people don't want to work for their dreams, procrastination is avoiding the emotion of pressure. Everybody wants to relax. Realize we're living at a time. In the past, you work morning to evening, late at night, you then go through, okay, entertainment, right? But now we are being exposed to choosing entertainment when we ought to be working and building life and the future you want. We are being exposed into that dimension more, and many people are choosing pleasure all day long, avoiding subjecting themselves to maturing, growing, expanding, experiencing life in a way that we grow. Intellectually, reading a book, thinking is pressure. Going to a class, going to a session is pressure. Listening, thinking, right? Listening to somebody else takes pressure. We are now the world is being trained to be avoiding the things that helps us grow and helps us become more successful. And now people are gravitating towards pleasure 247. And that's why many people they're not growing. 5 years on social media, people haven't grown. They've not built the business, right? Because somebody's telling them it's going to be easy. It doesn't happen that way. Relationship, you want to improve your marital relationship, you will face it. You will confront the toughest side of relationship. You want to build a business, you will face it. You will do the work. And doing the work puts us under pressure. So watch out that you're not becoming somebody that is avoiding, right, pressure and only seeking pleasure. That's what leads to consumerism, all forms of consumerism. Listen, we all love nice things. We don't want to put ourselves on pressure. Every human wants to be pleasured. We are all seeking pleasure every day. We're seeking nice relationships. We're seeking nice things. We seek all the nice things. But the journey to prosperity puts us under internal pressure and external pressure. And when people crumble, they procrastinate. When you don't want to do work, procrastinate. You say tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. 5 years later, people haven't done the work because they are hoping it's going to be easier than it actually is. So watch out what's going on. Is that we actually have to endure. When a plant is growing, we have to endure to grow, to become who God wants us to be, so that we can expand the capacity for success. Number 2, be more intentional. Intentionality, right? Respond to life in a way that supports your goals and the results you are seeking, right? So get clear to say, who do I want to become? What type of person do I want to become? Do you want to be a leader that is reliable? What type of parents do you want to become? What type of spouse do you want to become? What type of brother, sister, right? And then you have to start mirroring and practicing. It takes practice to become a healthy, successful person. It does take practice. It is a skill. Because if you're a dad, your parents, your kids will pressure you. There are demands that will be put on you. Everybody will come to you. That's leadership, right? Leadership in all forms, workplace, personal life, brings more responsibility. And now you have to act. You have to meet the demands of those demands in a positive way. You don't crumble. If you're a father, pressure, financial pressure, right? Relational pressure, it comes. How will it meet you? How will it meet you? Ready? Are you ready for it? And when people are not ready, you check out. Seek to understand the needs and wants behind the action, words, and emotions of other people. Part of emotional intelligence is not to be reactive. If somebody is complaining, somebody is angry, don't just immediately react. Take a moment and just check in, because now you understand that something is going on within this person. They are under pressure. They are bringing their pressure to you. You can experience it, You can now say, okay, let me empathize. What is really going on with this person? What do they really want that is making them lash out? Because they haven't done the work. They don't have the power, but you can offer them your strength. So don't be jumping to conclusion to say, that person, what? Can you empathize more to say, wow, that person is acting out of character. They must be under pressure. You can now be more empathetic. You can now serve. You can now support better. 4, withhold judgment if you want more peace in your life. You see, the moment you judge other people, you will feel it first in yourself. You are saving, it's like you're saving a record. Before you judge people and put it out there, you actually keep record of all your own judgments. So if you judge people unfavorably, listen, you've polarized yourself negatively. Many people don't know a copy is inside your system. Before it leaves you, out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth will speak. Whatever you are speaking of other people, when you are judging, oh, this person is this person is that, you are saving an exact, you are pointing right in your system. That judgment is inside you as well. It's inside. So if you want your own system to be at peace, without judgment, leave people alone, because God is the only one that can actually assess their full situation. So judge less, right? Bible says judge less so that you will not be judged. Trust me, when you are judging people, that information that you're putting out into the world is inside your system. You become that same person that you judged. So people who live in peace, they just leave people. If you cannot help them, if you cannot make them, if you cannot bring peace to them, if you feel you cannot calm them, leave them alone. They are under pressure already. Don't add to it. Right? That's what a kind, generous person would do. Be generous and without judgment. 5, increase your positive responses. Now you need to reverse all negativity by you becoming more positive. Start speaking positive things. Start showing up positively. Start being generous, because you want to really reverse. If you want your own database, if you want to enrich your own life, now you have to start depositing good things in the world, good things in yourself and good things in other people. That's why generosity. If you are good to other people, you will feel good. If you are bad to other people, you will feel bad. If you are nasty to other people, you will feel nasty, because you have to first save that thing in your own system database, and then out of your database, your mouth will speak. Your mouth is speaking based on what you've stored in your system. So now start storing. If you want to start storing positive things, be good to people, be kind, be generous to people, and you will see that you will start feeling better. This is the solution to anxiety. That's why they always say, don't just be thinking about yourself. Go and give to the poor. Do something for somebody else. Because as you're doing something positive for somebody else, guess what? It's stored in your system as well. It will elevate your own emotion. So increase positive responses, positive activities in your life. It's good for you. And decrease your negative responses for your own well-being. This is the power of choice. And then acquire more directional knowledge so that you can live in wisdom and prosperity. This session, I bet, will remain with you. Knowledge like this is what you ought to be seeking. That's what we do in my school. Equipping my students and clients with the tools to build a successful life. You need knowledge. You need knowledge, wisdom to create a life that is prosperous. You see, the one that is out there, common knowledge, cheap stuff out there, it doesn't create this life. Right? Knowledge at the surface is common. You live well if you build your life with common knowledge, at best you create a common life. When you want exceptional reality, you want to live differently, you want to make new choices, you have to seek this type of knowledge. You have to dedicate yourself to knowledge that enriches your heart, soul, that brings you peace, well-being, wealth, that makes you who God has called you to be. You have to seek that. So on that note, it's the end of lesson 4. This is lesson 4, EQ training. There's lesson 1, 2, 3 for sales, EQ for sales, EQ for entrepreneurs, EQ for coaches. We keep going deeper dive. Join the academy, join my program, enroll to acquire the tools you would use to build a successful life. Private, personal life, business life, wealth, prosperity. That's what I wish for you. And I thank you for joining this lesson. I'll see you at toyinumesiri.academy.